sticks you together.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, I don't know.
Nice.
When you
Yeah.
successfully navigate all of this stuff.
This is kind of a. I get, this is us.
Oh,
Just
Oh,
take a
that's-
look at it. This
oh,
is
is
us.
that Katie's?
That's going to be Katie's.
This is going to be
graduation
she doesn't know about this yet. This is
Oh.
a
But
secret.
this is
Well,
us.
That's probably the best way to.
Explain who we are.
Oh, a lot of nice pictures here.
Well,
Wow.
that's just it. We wanted Katie's
Yeah.
show. This is kind of surreal that now we have grandchildren going off to college after the other ones.
Clever. Yeah, this is
It's
very nice.
for her to have something, because of course she's not been around but
Yeah,
18, 17 years. So
yeah,
that she has something of the whole history. I mean, because we've been through
Yeah.
all the decade birthdays
Yeah.
and all the decade. I mean, we've been through all of that.
yes. Very nice.
And that's just
Yeah.
more focused around Katie, of course, because that's something for her to remember.
Remember,
us all by.
yeah,
But
this is a good
who we
idea.
are.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not exciting people. We really
Yeah,
are.
we're actually not.
And to be honest,
Nice, yeah.
what do I want my neighbors to think?
Yeah.
We really do love the Davises next door. They've been here for almost as long as we have.
Yes.
But my priority is not what my neighbors think. My priority is what my family feels.
Yes. Well, speaking of that, and this is so nicely said, no matter where fate leads you or how far away from home you roam, never forget how much your grandparents love you. Don't forget where we live. Come back often, we already miss you. That's very, very touching. Is there a quote that speaks to your values, that captures what you as a couple believe in, that comes to mind readily?
Probably just to respect each other. You know, everybody wonders what makes a marriage last. And they always bring up the love word. The love word means absolutely nothing.
That's a
Not
terrible
in this
thing to say.
society.
There's a quote.
Yeah, that's
But
probably
it's
not what you
true.
want to
We
put.
love our
You wanna be
dog.
known for that one.
No, we love our dog. We love those shoes. Oh, we just love you. Why don't you come to the party? It's just lovely. We use the word so much that we don't know what it means anymore.
Yes.
What I have found, especially in my line of work, the marriages that really seem to last is that the parties really respect one another. You know, respect doesn't mean that you have to be perfect. It doesn't mean that you always have to be. There's just something there that when you're going through a hard time, you know the other person's going to be there because they respect you and they want to hold you up. They don't want to put you down, and vice versa. It's just, and I don't know of a cute little saying this. The wedding vows, but you know.
And respect is a bit clinical, but you're right. And I mean, obviously, that's a really good question, actually. You don't sit down and think about it because you feel it and you do it all the time and you don't think twice about it.
Yeah.
But I think it's looking out for the other person and looking at things from the other person's point of view. And it's not about me.
Well, for an example, the guy, he is really smart. He's scary smart. He never acts it, though. He's not conceited. He doesn't act it. Just go watch that stupid show that you like, Jeopardy. He knows the answers all the time. It drives me absolutely crazy. Wheel of Fortune, there'll be 2 letters there. And I'm not exaggerating. Am I exaggerating? You'll know the words. It drives me absolutely crazy.
I do this on the New York Times crossword
Yes.
for fun.
But you're probably getting like that.
Not too fast.
Oh,
I
he drives me-
I enjoy
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And yet he'll look at me, and I have, which the judges were really nice, and so were the lawyers. When I start talking, a lot of times I'm 4 steps ahead, so my speech isn't exactly great, or it irritates me. I'm embarrassed by it. And when we first started to go out, he'd say things like, don't act dumb. I don't like, and I was so upset with him because I thought he was calling me dumb when it was really, I was having, and then when he found out what it was, from that point on, he has really been supportive. It's amazing how supportive he has been. And he will say things, well, you're so smart in different ways than I am. And I'll sit there and I'll go, what
She's
ways?
smart in some of the same ways too. She did better in organic chemistry than I did.
Well, speaking of that,
No, we're not gonna-
That's a very sensitive subject, so let's not go there.
But that's the whole point. That's what I don't, again, I'll go back, I don't know of a certain word, but I know that we work well together, and I'm amazed by this man year after year after year. The idea that when he was in his 60s is when you went back to get your master's degree.
It is amazing.
And wanting to continue to work, whereas I'm burnt out. I don't want to work anymore. But we're so different. The Ferris wheel, the airplanes, but we just seem to.
But we have enough in common too.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's no way
I'm not bored.
that I could have, I mean, I did when you were in law school the Mr. Mom thing for 3 years, and if I couldn't do that more than, I mean, that was.
He was happy
something
to
I
give me
needed
back
to
the
do.
reins, which I
Right.
was so happy to get because I felt so
Again.
guilty.
You're complementary in different,
Sure.
but yet you have enough common ground so
Yeah,
that you're not
yeah.
fighting with each other.
Well, think back to when you met and you saw wonderful qualities in the other person. And this is not an intellectual question, it's more of an emotional connection. When you thought this was the lady for you and vice versa, what happened? What did you feel? What was the magic?
How can you put that in words? I don't
can't.
think you can. You just knew. It's if you want to believe in when you
true.
die and
You're
you
right.
end up coming back to life. Oh God, see, I'm forgetting.
Reincarnation.
Thank you. See, it's that feeling of recognition. I don't know how to explain it. There's nothing more than that.
Well, it's like you two. I mean, you just know it, right? How do you describe it?
Yes.
and then the more
That's true.
adventurous.
It's so I don't know, not esoteric.
Innate almost.
No, not esoteric. It's so
Visceral?
well, it's visceral. It's just it's visceral, but it's so. It's not something you can.
Digest, take apart.
Diagram.
Intellectualize, yeah.
Well, you said it yourself,
Yeah,
and
But I
that's.
think it's also when you take that, it's not just that, it's then all of a sudden you go on this magical trip called life. And you go through all of these adventures. And it's not all good, because if it was all good, it wouldn't be,
Bad.
Right.
I mean, if
would
it was
be-
all good, you wouldn't know the difference.
you wouldn't know the difference. And it wouldn't add the color, rich texture. And it makes it even better. I mean,
Well, let me pursue that as we wrap up. We'll have to get our pajamas here because we have a lot more questions for you. No, I'm joking. We're not going to stay the night. This is a positive question. What was the biggest challenge you as a couple helped to overcome that enriched your life?
teeny mama. I'm from the north.
Yeah, do you want to explain that?
My family goes all the way back to the American Revolution on my maternal grandmother's side.
And this brought you together.
His family goes back all the way to the
Oh, yeah, the
American
family tree on
Revolution.
the back of the picture
yeah,
where
yeah.
collateral.
The
descendants
difference
of
is
George Washington,
mine came
so-
from the north, his came from the south.
Ah,
And his grandmother was not happy that he was marrying a Yankee.
oh. And that must have been a challenge then.
It was, especially when she came and lived with us.
Well, how did she demonstrate her unhappiness over that?
She would tell me. She was quite the lady. I mean, she was very tiny. She had bluish hairs. Sometimes they'd come back pink. And the thing is I don't. Whenever we got angry with her, because sometimes I'd go upstairs and I'd have a little book and I'd put down, this is what she said today and this is how she made me feel. But then I'd come back down and be nice to her, because when she did die, I opened up the book and I read it. And it was so silly, some of the things, why I was feeling angry when she'd say that, or when she'd have a walker and she would walk into our furniture, and it was like, why am I upset about that? She's an old lady. That shouldn't upset me. So I'm really glad I kept my mouth shut. hard sometimes. But she was one that, in a weird way, it also brought us closer together because he'd go upstairs and I'd be upset. And he'd say, I know it. What can we do? There's nothing we could
Right,
do.
and well,
She's
yeah.
a lovely lady, loves her grandson, upset he married a Yankee.
So how did you feel? That had to be a difficult,
Yeah,
to
but
feel
I mean,
unwanted.
no, I didn't ever felt unwanted. Oh, no.
No,
I
he
knew-
was loved.
Believe me, we ended up offering to help her out, and
Yeah.
because,
Oh, okay.
well, I mean, my mother died, and she was by herself and was going
Yeah,
to
she
either
had
go into
to have
nursing.
some
She
help.
needed to have some,
Yeah.
but she wasn't like nursing home material, and so we agreed that she could live with us because we were all that was left.
Yeah.
And so, but
And she
I knew,
adored her grandson.
and I knew it was going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
Because she, somebody who's in their 90s really is going to be very set in their ways and have very specific things and ideas, and it was hard because the other thing she would do, poor Elizabeth, she was hard of hearing, so the TV was turned way up in her room, in Elizabeth's bedroom, and she's a teenager
Yeah.
or doing schoolwork, and that noise of the television up there. But heaven forbid if you woke her up. And it was,
Yeah,
the challenge of living with an elderly person who's mentally still there,
Yeah.
but
So,
So, as a matter
physically
of fact,
frail.
she ended up,
Well,
she stayed here, died. Then my mom came, and she had
Well, that was-
cancer, and she died. The big difference was between that, my mother would introduce Charlie as her son.
We seem to have this propensity for doing this, but so that was obviously that's a challenge because
No, it's funny. I loved it. I did.
that
We always
puts
used to
you,
tease her about it too.
Yeah.
it makes you work it out, figure it out.
Definitely.
So that was that story, and
Yeah.
yes, as it turns out, her mother was real sick and came down here so we could take care of her. She stayed in the same. That's what we ended up being.
Now that's why it's now the garden room, and it's very bright and very light.
Yes, we've
and-
turned it into.
Yeah.
But so that was a biggie. Getting through that whole, because we're relatively new
Yeah.
to Dallas, and
You were
my
opening
job
up
is
your
new,
office.
and everything like this, and then to
Getting
add,
kids in.
Chrissy, how old was Chrissy?
Chrissy hadn't started Green Hill yet.
Right, 4 kids,
And then she
one
went
not
down
even in
today.
school yet, and then now you're adding this elderly lady who had to be driven everywhere and had to do this and had to do that and all the rest of the stuff, and it was just not something I would have gone out of my way to volunteer and plan for. But what are you going to do with the family,
Yeah.
when it's family member?
That's part of that journey you talked about.
Yeah.
Right. Well, listen, I'm sorry we had to draw you out, but you covered a lot of great topics here.
I
Well,
still think we're
hopefully.
probably the most boring people in the world, but we're happy. So sorry you're bored. We're glad we're happy.
We're interested. That's why we're asking the questions.
Yeah, no, it's good, and I'm glad. Like I said, I haven't had this much fun at work in years.
Yeah.
Because it's still new.
Yes.
The novelty hasn't worn off, and yes, there's stuff that are not fun to do. And just like you're not, and I can see why, not having to drive downtown and deal with people.
So glad I don't have to
Yeah.
drive
You can imagine
downtown.
making your living with people that fight all the time and having to fight back. That's just no fun. I
You
mean,
get
she's good at
pulled
it,
in.
but
Is it
no, she doesn't
emotional?
get pulled in, but it's you get invested in it, right?
Yeah.
And you have to deal with a lot of emotional stuff.
Yeah, when you start realizing that you're unhappy and that you're getting upset with your client has a legitimate reason to be unhappy, but her behavior is not helping the situation. In fact, it's being detrimental. And when you try to tell her, please don't do this, please don't do this, and she turns around and starts yelling at you because she has no one else she feels safe she can yell at. And you understand it and you accept it, and then you think, what the am I doing here? I'm too old for this.
Yeah, I don't need this. Yeah.
But no, we have, I don't know. I mean, I'm looking around at some of the pictures, like the pictures we had done at Disneyland when the kids were all small.
Oh yeah, those are funny.
Again, every story I tell you really would have to do with family.